Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our third episode of Wanderhome, The Long Way Around. I am the Reverend Sarkon, your storyteller this evening, and last we left off, we got to see them go to the small town of Kelleran's Point, where we got to meet Valo, who was the lighthouse keeper, and he was in a bit of a melancholy mood since he had lost his glow bug, Sunflower. But we also got to meet Captain Bert. We got to ask him about his ship, the Haddock. We got to meet Molly, who is Miss Maud's granddaughter. We got to see a little bit of that interaction with her mom, Millie. We got to see that Barnabas plays the accordion as a little bit of an impromptu band jam happened in the tavern. And then as everything was winding down for the evening, Miss Maud showed them the broken pieces of a blunderbuss called the Thunderbringer, and how they had a salamander in their basement that was not imprisoned, but not allowed to mingle with the citizens of Kelleran's Point. But we did get to see the birth of Firelight's new bug, as they prayed as Dodger prayed to his tiny god for another Firefly for Valo, and which once it glowed a little bit of orange before it settled into its actual color, so he named it Pumpkin. And we left off with them agreeing to take this other exile with them to their next stop. But we're going to pick up with the group in a very different setting. We've traveled for a while, and we come to a very different setting. There's a bit of a valley, almost on the point. If it was any deeper, it'd be a crevice or a canyon. But there's mountains to one side and hills to the other that give it a nice little dip to kind of nestle itself into the surroundings. We sidle up from the small towns and cozy corners of Haeth, and we arrive in a stunning city nestled in a valley. The mountains in the south and west providing shelter from the storms and dust coming off the Calamere Desert. The hills to the north and east providing plenty of fertile land for all kinds of beetle grazing, orchards, and flower meadows. The Bounded Valley is known for many things, and though Sprawlside City is the jewel, the natural beauty of the scenery cannot be ignored. The great waterfall that flows into the river that cuts through the city is a sight to see in the early morning as the sun crests on the horizon of our round world and sets the water ablaze in its light. Junie, what is the name of this waterfall?
I love it how you just call me out on this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? We're just going to call it Orchid's Fall.
Okay. Orchid's Fall. The river is the lifeline to all the farmsteads, with both natural, Haeth-made tributaries and regular tributaries. There are even gondolas that will taxi people around the city or carry messages to and from. Many citizens have spent time on the riverfront and found themselves lost in thought. And Tara, what's the name of the river?
God, the first thing I thought of was Styx, but let's not use that.
I mean, it could be Stick.
Yeah, let's do that. River Styx.
Okay. I like it. A marvel of engineering sits at the heart of the city, if we're not counting the lift for its simplistic design down in the south. The Great Lookout Tower, where it is said that the whole Sprawlside can be seen, has an open dome which houses the cross bridges that are the gateways into each of the city quarters. and surrounding the majestic tower is the liveliest and loudest part of the city, the town square, where everyone gathers to cross into the quarters or to trade with vendors in their canvas-covered stalls with a taste of what their main shops might offer. Kenny, what's the name of the square?
They actually call it Kismet Crossing because it's known for once you come to this area that you find something that you didn't think you needed, but for whatever reason is perfect in the time that you find it.
I like it. With this being a sun parade when you arrive, you will see streamers and banners. Everyone is excited for the end of Leap and the ushering in of Bright. What is something of the decorations that draws your attention above the rest? I open that to everyone.
I think Dodger will appreciate that some people take the time to decorate the old gods' places, the old shrines, the small shrines, the shrines that are hidden away. Some people have taken the time to put streamers and various other decorations on those.
Okay.
Something that Thistledown has seen before, but hasn't. It's very rare. He sees fireworks, but it's not fireworks per se, as in just where it actually has a grow of colors. These are just poppers, kind of like Roman candles almost, but attached to them are small bunches of flowers, so that when it does pop, it's literally rose petals that fall through out the city.
Nice.
The hand-painted lanterns. And it's not just the party favorite. It's the kids taking the time to do a string of lanterns for a block. And they all hand paint and keep them. Giving themselves an artistic flair.
Okay. There are makeshift stages where young adults are being presented in almost a pageant to passerbys and customers alike. This is obviously the election of the Bloom Court. One king and one queen are named from the list of participants. Who is someone that draws your attention with their appearance and why? Again, I open that to everyone.
I guess first person that comes to mind is actually one of the. I would say this is probably one of the later muses that Thistledown had after trying to get away from being romantic writing of his collection. It's actually his name is Wari. He is a walrus. He loves alliteration. He calls himself a stand-up philosopher.
He's a bullshit artist.
He loves... Yeah, I mean... Yeah, he loves to make observations that tickle him in ways that, unfortunately, only he gets tickled by. But he does put a lot of effort into it, and it doesn't go unnoticed.
Okay.
There's one of the prominent merchants of the city is a large man, bull descent. His name's Vino, and he looks like he does drink the vino a lot. But he stands out. He's very robust. He has very it's not garish, but if you have taste, you might consider it garish. But it's certainly a very outgoing jacket, and in line with his name, he does carry around a jug of something, maybe wine, and he does tend to be very vocal. He talks to a lot of people. He's very working the crowd, as it were.
Okay.
It's more of a butterfly? Moth? Not sure. But she tends to go around always putting things in people's hair or their feathers to remind them of the seasons. So little tidbits just to keep people up a bit, up on their toes, but at the same time reminding them they're all special in one way or another.
Because you are in the sun parade, everyone can always get a token whenever they help out with the festivities. Spend the token to find a pretty dress, a trinket, or a new friend, and you can cool off in the shade.
Well, I take it that when we get there, the parade is just starting. Is that right?
It's more of an evening thing.
Okay.
Right now, you're arriving at around late afternoon, so the sun is still clinging to the sky, not wanting to relinquish its command of it yet. But you'll be coming in from the north side, into what is known as Northlet. There's a couple of badgers that are directing people. There's a moose that is kind of like a guard. There's no weapons, but there is a little bit of padding to him. There's a kind of badge that he will occasionally kind of wipe down. But you see that he talks to everyone that's coming in or leaving. And if you're coming in, he'll direct you to one of the badgers. And as your caravan comes in, you notice a little chipmunk come rushing over, whisper something to him, and then he nods. And instead of one of the badgers, he points to a thick tree. Junie, what does this tree look like, since this is Rose's tree?
It's large. It's got so many branches, you couldn't even count them all. There are strings and ribbons floating in and out of the breeze depending on which way the breeze is going. Old lanterns from the years past of any festival actually decorate this rather large tree, and you can see the different platforms for where they stand depending on what part of the city people are looking at. Then there are always little bags of nuts. It's a squirrel. It's a squirrel's tree. There are always bags of nuts. Oh, and there's always shells of nuts somewhere. And as people walk around, you have to gently scoot around because shell nuts, they're a thing.
Yeah. And coming up to you and your caravan with a great big smile and a small baby Bjorn with a glow bug asleep in the center of her chest is Rose. What does Rose look like?
Rose is a red squirrel that has the energy of many toddlers combined, and God help you if you give her coffee, she will just go berserk. But she's always happy. She's very chittery. She's always kind of like not trembling, but getting close to it because she's got so much energy packed up into this little tiny being and always excited about something or another.
And she comes over and you see her immediately getting to work, pointing, not even waiting for complete sentences to finish, kind of like moving around. And she sees you and immediately kind of one arm protecting the baby Bjorn, she comes over and she gives you a hug. Hey, welcome back. It's been time to welcome back.
How are you, Rosie?
I'm good. How are you? Who are you with? Who'd you bring? How long are you staying?
Not sure. I've brought friends.
Okay.
Do you want your nuts?
Yes, I would. I would love nuts.
And she will turn around and give her a big bag of nuts that she's collected while she has been gone.
Okay. And
And then she will
opens it a little bit, smells it.
Oh, they're fresh. They're fresh. They're She'll go, I got you nothing but the best.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
This is Thistledown. He's a poet. He didn't know it. And then this is our friend. Yes, I know. I'm aware. And this is Dodger Woolsby the Third. He is a peddler, and he does like to whittler.
That's so regal. The third, regal. Where's your cape? Are you a noble? Do you have nobility? Do you have papers? You must have papers. And she looks immediately to Thistledown. What kind of papers do you have? Are they blank? You have writing on it? How much have you written? Do you have any books? Have you written books?
She's talking to you, Thistledown.
No, I honestly am just.
Yeah.
No, it's just utter shock. I'm just in my mind. There's so many things. Yes. Sorry. He really quite like he rots it down. He goes, oh nuts, the heart of all her dreams, chestnuts, almonds, and I just writing it through. I go, what is your favorite nut? Now I just need to ask.
Oh, how does one gauge a nut? Like what is a favorite nut? If I had to choose,
There's criteria. 1 second, let me write that criteria.
Yeah, criteria.
So it's soft or hard?
No. Hard.
With or without shells?
You have to get the crunch. You have to get the crunch.
You have to get the crunch.
If there's no crunch, there's no nut. That's what my grandma used to say.
Is this earthy? Do you like it to be earthy? Do you like it to have more of a?
No, it should be sweet. It should be a sweet nut.
Sweet.
You wanna be able to roll it around in your tongue.
As I'm writing this down, you can see Thistledown, although he has feathers, you can see that somehow there's blushes running through around his eyes and around the beak. He's like, this joke. You can hear me writing. You can hear him writing it. This joke has gone too far. This joke has gone too far.
You asked her about her nuts. That's
That's
a lecture in and of its own.
You'll hear the tiny whimper of like a little yawn, and she'll look down, and you'll see the lightning bug start to kind of like vibrate, and she'll pull one of the nuts. She bites half of it, and then she gives the other half to her lightning bug. Rocket's almost time to get up. All right, so I'm gonna leave one of the badgers to handle everything, but I'll be by the tree whenever you want to get some tea.
Here's your special blend of tea.
Ooh,
The caffeinated.
very nice, very nice. I don't know why you keep insisting on decaffeinated, but I like it. I like it.
It's caffeinated.
Oh, okay.
I got you the good stuff.
Yeah, the good stuff. I like the good stuff.
Over at the bridge.
And she goes, Billy, come take care of these guys. They're my friends. Be nice to them. And the badger starts to kind of like lumber over. Okay, it's very nice to meet you. And she kind of like grabs both your hands, Thistledown, and she shakes you. It's nice to meet you too, Dodger. And she grabs your hands and kind of shakes you. And she will again shield Rocket and pull Helena in for a big hug, and then scampers, just like zigzagging. There's the idea of she sees something, she sees something else, she sees something, she sees something else. There's always pointing and there's meandering, but yeah.
I am tired. Are you guys tired? I feel tired just in this interaction alone.
Oh, you should see her when she has caffeine. Try that on 11.
I love the city. I'm ready to go.
Literally bouncing.
Macadamias. Damn it. Those are sweet. I should have. All right. Just write that.
Celine just pulls out a bag of macadamians and hands them to.
Not for me. It's for. Okay. Well, I'll take them anyway.
Well, you can give them to
just
her.
put them in my bag. That's fine.
Mm.
We're going into. I mean, we're going. We'll see her. Most likely, given her nature, she will turn up in several places that we'll be in.
Yeah. The
That-
north end of the town is where all the travelers kind of come in and disperse, and that's where all the people that are leaving kind of gather up their things and then head out on caravans. So, and the caravan that you're with does start to kind of separate, and people are starting to go their separate ways. Where's everybody gonna go? How does it feel to be in a city this size? Given that Falley's Bridge and Kelleran's Point were a fraction of this.
Dodger's invigorated. This is prime territory for him. He loves the open road, but he can restock, he can sell, he can learn things. It's just, this is a playground for him.
I mean, it's one of those where the fact of how vast this place is, it's almost a sigh of relief in the sense where I can be more observant and less and blend into the actual blend into the surroundings instead of just being in the forefront of everything, considering how small everything was before.
Mm-hmm.
It's good for writing.
Okay. So is everybody going into the city, or is some of you kind of hang out here in the northlet?
No, I'm going in.
No, I
I'll
want
go
to
in
go in.
because I'm gonna go in to get some supplies and maybe go to an inn and get something to eat.
Okay. So we'll follow Dodger Woolsey the Third. You come across Kismet Crossing.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the bridge from the north that you're coming in from, and you've got one heading west, one heading east, and one heading south. The dome inside is magnificent. The center point doesn't have a keystone. It is its own kind of portal that lets in light, so there's a natural kind of glow during the day that bounces off the river and kind of creates this beautiful mirage of not northern lights, but that kind of look of bounced light off of water.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives the whole under the whole dome this bluish tint. And there's different drawings that have been kind of not etched but painted in different shades of blue, and sometimes your eye will catch one image, sometimes your eye will catch a different image. What do we see? What does Dodger see as he's turning into Weston?
Weston is officially or unofficially the trading district of the city. It's where the market is. The big, as described previously, the Kismet Crossing is where the merchants go to say, "This is what I do have," and then you go to Weston to the bigger shops and that sort of thing. It's just as decorated. It doesn't have the dome, of course, but you do see the streamers on the bridge as he crosses over into Weston. You don't see. Weston has a reputation as a place where you can, if you need something, you can probably find it if you know who to ask. So the revelers there aren't quite as rambunctious as the other parts of the city. More reserved, but only because they're still working. There might be the occasional vagabond you see running around, trying to blend into a crowd. You will still see people try to make a buck off the festival. Like, here's your like any sort of parade in our world. Like, there'll be guys walking around with a cart trying to sell flags or streamers or something.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what you see in Weston now.
What is the signage that we see as you come up to Patches' store? Does he have signage?
He does. There is a small carved rat on the sign, and it just says it's just that, and that's it. There's no words. If you know Patches, you know this is his store.
Okay.
There's just a rat on a small swinging placard.
Okay.
Almost like you'd see. I'd say it's probably like an older. I immediately think of Ebenezer Scrooge's shop. There's a lattice windows and a door in the middle, so lattice windows to the side.
What does it look like inside from the windows?
It's actually fairly orderly, given what he does, which is bookkeeping. I say orderly because I know Patches. People who don't know Patches would think it's just a chaos, a cyclone of books and papers and ink and everything. But I know that he has his own Dewey Decimal System for everything. So he knows where everything is.
What's the shop smell like? Does it have a distinct smell? Is it a smell of the other businesses around him?
Oh no, it's wood and ink. It's very strong scent of just scrolls. There's boxes of new scrollage that he hasn't used yet. It's very much like I would say probably a library smell almost, even though it's not a bookstore. Not necessarily a bookstore. It's just there are books everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Is he in?
He is in.
Okay. Head in the book, face down and buried.
Yeah. Patches is as I mentioned prior, a rat Haeth. If any of us looked at him and saw him, he gives off a very Vincent Price vibe. He's very narrow features, and he has a mustache and a small. What do you even call on a rat? A little tuft on his chin.
Okay.
But he's very small, circle glasses. Not old, but well worn jacket. And his head's down, and he's probably working in his books right now.
Does this door have a bell to announce your entrance, or?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, does he take off his glasses to interact with people, or does he keep them on? Are they for reading, or are they all purpose?
They're for reading. Yeah, they're for reading.
Okay. So he'll probably take off his glasses as the bell kind of ding-a-lings your entrance. Oh, well, isn't this a sight for eyes?
Patches, my friend.
Bailey with you.
What's that?
Is Bailey with you?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, she is outside.
Good. I'm glad that both of you are still together.
I am too. It's been a long journey.
And what of your little god?
Oh, well, I don't know what happened to her. I know why it happened, I believe, but she has moved on, for whatever that means for their kind. She helped a firelight in Kelleran's Crossing find a new firefly.
Oh. And you see him meander over to a bookshelf and he's kind of scanning. And he pulls a book out. He opens it to a page with a little kind of tiny scrap of paper that's been folded as a bookmark. And he opens it and he writes something down. Still with Bailey. Lost his tiny god. All right. Well then. Closes it with a definitive kind of thump. So, one win, one loss, one could say?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And I actually, he holds up his finger and runs, he just heads back outside real quick, and he comes back in with a small bag. And go ahead, go on.
Oh. Wow. I didn't take you for a man of surprises, Mr. Woolsey.
It's been a while. Thought it'd be at least polite to bring something for a friend.
Oh. He opens the book again. Brought something to be nice. And he closes it.
I know. Being nice isn't
Times.
profitable, but...
The Life and Times of Dodger Woolsey III, and he puts the book back on the shelf.
So, he actually... so, Dodger lays the package down. It's not huge. It's like probably about a foot by 9. Like it's about the size of a little bit bigger than a legal size of piece of paper.
He is about to open it and he stops himself.
Mhm.
And goes, "Where's your shrine?"
My shrine. I still keep Zoe's shrine, but I was planning on visiting the one in Kismet after speaking with you.
Well, I was thinking, and he goes over to the corner and you see him clap once. And he takes a little bit of his ink and he drops a couple of drops onto the little offering plate. And then he claps again and he picks up the shrine and comes over and he puts it in front of you. Here, I will trade you.
Okay. Something given, something earned.
As is
I take
our
the shrine.
relationship.
Yeah.
And then he opens the package.
It
What
is
do we
a. You see, it's something he has been kind of. He started sewing it together on the way to the city. It's basically it's a leather cover. You could almost call it a trapper keeper for this kind of world, but it's a leather cover that he can turn into a book. I thought. Dodger thought that it would be a good gift in case he ever wanted to do any bookkeeping on himself.
I don't know what to say, Dodger. This is one of the few times where I've had a loss for words. The last time was when you wanted poker.
I still believe you, let me, but...
Wow. We'll never know, will we?
We won't. I'll take the win, though.
It's in the book, so it is yours.
Thank you.
Well, speaking of, would you like some tea? I was about to take lunch.
Sure.
Late lunch, but...
I would love some tea.
Excellent.
I have coffee, if you want coffee.
Oh, yes. I will take some coffee then.
Go out and get the coffee from Beetle or from Bailey and head back in.
Okay. And as he begins to brew his coffee, we see Thistledown as we kind of follow him into Kismet Crossing. What catches your attention as you're walking past the dome or through the dome?
Music. That is. I've gone through Kismet Crossing quite a few times, and every time has been the only constant that Thistledown has ever experienced while coming to the Sprawlside City is the actual Artisan Quarter over in Easton, and there's always music playing, and it is probably the liveliest place there in Sprawlside City, because of the fact that is where the artists like to roam. I mean, sure, in Kismet Crossing you do have performers and you do have little things going on, but that's really just an amuse-bouche, if you will, of what Easton can actually provide. And it's more of just getting your forget what you call them, but considering we're in Wanderhome, I'll call them howlers that call you towards the east side of the city. Because if you really want to have, a taste of art from there. But yeah, so it's just immediately that's where my mind goes.
You're meandering through the city. Easton is probably as loud, if not just slightly louder than Kismet Crossing, only because of the music. The Kismet wins out because of the traffic. Everybody goes through Kismet Crossing that wants to get anywhere into the city, unless you're staying local.
Yeah.
Where do we see Thistledown when he comes out of his magical kind of musical stupor?
Mm-hmm. I mean, usually the music just has me travel through Easton, and I know that I'm reaching a certain part that I've been to, which is actually a shop. It's called the Inky Paw. It's very quaint. It's actually I say it's snug is the nice way to describe it. It's in between cozy storefronts that are there, as well in between pretty much a workshop on one end and an open air studio on the other. That's where you can hear the music, where a lot of the open air studios is where a lot of the actual instruments get tended to, practice on. And on the other side is the actual workshop. So workshop as far as for not just for art, but also for tools and also for design work, in the sense where you start feeling now the actual rock and gravel that you walk through in the city turns into cobblestone as you walk into Easton, and it's because of the actual workshop that's there. And really, I immediately go to the Inky Paw, which is a bookbinder shop, a printmaker bookbinder shop, owned by somebody that I know very well, named Milo.
What's the signage look like? Does he have signage?
Yeah, and it's very simplistic. It is a diamond shape. It's a diamond shaped piece of placard wood that is being held up by chains, and it literally just has paw prints, all done in black ink with gold lining around it, so it accentuates the actual paw prints.
And what does Milo look like?
Milo, I don't want to date myself, but if you've ever seen She's All That, the actual main character in there, wearing overalls, it's literally just painted overalls. If you can see, it's paint, but it's mostly black and silver ink that gets placed over. You have one broken strap, so it's really just one strap holding up That's really all Milo really wears. He is a weasel, and he is more of an auburn, like I like using the word ombre because it makes it easier to pronounce. Going from orange down to red, you would see that more if it wasn't for the fact that his literal paws, all the way up to his forearm, are covered in ink, as well as around his face. And you can see bandages on some of his fingers, as you can tell that he's pricked himself one too many times with the machine.
Mm-hmm. Is there a bell to announce you as you come into his shop, or?
I don't need a bell. I literally just whistle in. I mimic the first time that I saw him, which was him yelling, which was me scaring the crap out of him. So it's really just me going like that as I walk in, which makes him. I can hear him falling from the stool that he was on onto the floor, and second later gets up, and I can hear him running towards the front, knowing that it's coming from me. In a face of being upset because I literally scared the crap out of him, and to the point that the fact that I'm there. So it's just
there's no door. There's just a frame that separates the storefront from the book binding in the back. And you do see this startled, half startled, half angry weasel, hands on both sides of the frame, just kind of like breathing heavy. By the little gods, you scared the hell out of me.
It's moments like this that bring me joy, Milo. But I'm glad to see that you're still hard at work.
I see that you're still alive.
And as I'm talking to him, I'll glance over, and even though, as you said, there is no door, there is a window though. So they do treat it as somewhat of a storefront, so you can actually see on the inside, and on the side of it, you will see just modest looking bookshelf, and you'll see the actual bindings of books. So you can see the fact that he is that of his trade. And then on the very small corner, you will see, on the bottom right corner, you will see 3 or 4 ornate colored books, different colors, that you can see have 2 black feathers with a quill that goes right through the middle of it, on top of an ink blot. That's essentially what Thistledown uses as his stamp for his collection. So these are books that Milo has actually binded for Thistledown.
He finally calms down and starts to breathe regularly. You see him go over to his desk, and he grabs this tin cup that has a couple of charcoal rods in it, and he shakes it almost like a beggar at you. I'm out of feathers if you're willing to give up some.
I look over, and I'm just like, I look at my left, I look at the left side, and I go, I grabbed way too many from there, way too many from my right. I'm just like, I pull over. I can't see you. So I'm just, yes, exactly. I can't see you. So I lift over the shirt that I'm wearing, and I literally just pull a few, 3 or 4, and I'll place it on there. I go, and I know that you don't need the ink. I can see you have plenty of that, and I literally go right across his face, off to the side, and I just to take off some of the smudge that's underneath his eyes.
Yeah, and he'll grab one of the feathers, and he'll just, yeah, I could sell this. This would do. And he goes and puts it back, and then he comes back and just kind of like pats you on the arms.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at you, big rider.
Yeah.
Anything new?
I mean, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Anything new that you want to bind?
I mean, if I come to if I'm gonna come to Easton, I want you to do the usual. I grabbed the actual journal that I've been carrying. And he would be familiar with it. This is something that I'll do every so often because it's wear and tear. It's literal. The actual cover of it has been damaged to the point, but this is not the first time that these pages have been binded. This journal has been repaired several times over that I can remember, and it's always Milo that does it for me. And I go and I grab it. I go, yeah, this would be, the usual. I want you to try to keep it as close to the color of the spine as possible. And regular payment, right? I do have, and then I start going through the sheets that are inside my briefcase, and I go, I have the other piece, the other stanza, to the poem you've been asking me to write you.
Yeah, you know how long I've been waiting for that?
It's been a while. Honestly, this is probably the last stanza from this collection that I'm writing for you. I know
The last one.
you wanted something. I mean, out of what I've been writing for you, yeah.
I mean, this is only
if you
22.
But I want to at least give it to you. And I laugh because, I think I tell him, I look at him and I'm just like, Milo, I think you're the only person that, besides the group that I'm with, that knows that I'm not a romantic. But you seem to like my material anyway, no matter how morose it can be sometimes.
Some people see the joy in moroseness. What's the word?
Honestly, morosity works for just fine for me.
I like morosity too.
I will say that if it wasn't for the way that you treated my material in the vehicle that it's in, I don't think it would have sold as much as it did, no matter how good I write. And for that, I appreciate it. In fact, I'm surprised you still have these first editions. And I look back out to the front.
Oh, I can always use a doorstop here and there, and he pats down the fact that his door frame doesn't have an actual door.
Yeah. Yeah, always with the jokes, sir. Do you mind if I help you this time around? Usually I don't get my my feathers dirty in this kind of venture, but
Yeah, you like to stay clean.
I mean, albeit some of the blood that comes off of my feathers, but yes.
I mean, what's a small price of payment?
Mm-hmm.
Blood, sweat, and tears. That's what they always say. That's what it takes to be great.
Also, and as I give that to him, I go, I told you that this is probably the last stanza I'm going to give you from the focus that I've been writing, which, I mean, I get it. You want me to keep writing because it's about you, but
Of course.
I just, I also wanted to see if maybe you can add, and I start grabbing sheets, other sheets, and I can see that these sheets have been crossed out, written again, crossed out, written again. And then it has fresh ink on it. And if you can add this, into the collection itself. And on the title of it, you can literally see it. You can see me. I'm just scribbling it down, and it says on there, "The Muse of a Rook's Heart." If you can just add that for me.
The Muse of a Rook's Heart. Wow.
I mean, I know you're gonna have to turn on the printing press, now.
Well,
Start printing that for me, but if you don't mind.
yeah, I'll add this to the collection. Are you ready for it to be printed, or are you ready you're gonna hold off?
You know me, I don't do drafts. Well, yes, I do drafts, but the moment I hand them to you, I don't want that back. So
All right. If there's enough here, and he starts counting, and he's like, "Now we're as close to 30 as we can get. So I think this would be a good book to bind." But he starts to get to work on restoring your journal, and as we leave you kind of over his shoulder, where's Helene found the place to hole up?
Just you want to take a look. You know what? Let's go a little south. She's wandering. She has no real reason or anywhere to be at the moment. She has no passengers. She's stocked. She's already gone through really quickly with things, and she just goes south for a bit because why not?
Mm-hmm.
There's no one to usher, and when a firelight has nobody to really move or help, they just wander until it comes upon them.
Okay. The south side of Sprawlside is industrious. It's all about goods and labor and trade, and whereas visitors come in through the north, goods come in through the south. And because of the mountain range, they've had to create this wonder of ingenuity over necessity. And there is the Great Lift. As someone who isn't part of the craftsmen's unions, what does the Great Lift look like to Helene?
It looks like she would always call it a crane. It reminds her of a crane. Going down, going back up. Thin, not thick. It's not having to hunt, or it doesn't have to be big and bulky. It's just this thin kind of forever lift that just moves up and down. She doesn't understand it, but she likes watching it.
How does walking around the warehouses differ from the kind of spaces you've been in so far? These are very compact, very close. There's almost no alleys between them. It's almost claustrophobic.
It is, but it isn't. You listen to the conversations. You listen to the people. And where she always listens to people going to and from, this is listening to people as they're living in the city. This isn't a traveling tale, or you need to tell me where I'm going or whatnot. This is, hey, Helen, the kids are all right, but at the same time, I have to do this. And it's the little conversations. It's the day-to-day. She doesn't get to hear those very often. So going into a different area where she doesn't have to purchase anything. She doesn't have to ask anyone where they're going or if they need help. It's more of listening to people living their lives that gives her that sense and that touch of home she enjoys.
Mm.
She's not in touch. She doesn't have an anchor. She is her own anchor.
Are there festive dressings in Southside?
Not as much because, again, warehouses, industrial. It's more of light. It's not the paper things that you would see in the square. This is more of the wood got repainted, and somebody painted flowers on the sides. Somebody painted a lantern. There are little bits, but nothing that actually is like, ooh, boof, here's the whole thing. Again, it's industrial. So just touch-ups or, hey, it's summer, we need to repaint this and we have to redo this. This needs whitewashing. Ooh, look at somebody put a paw print.
Is everyone dressed for work, or are there accoutrement of the festivities on certain people?
Well, there's always a cool tone on festivities of other people. Why? Because they are dressed in their work clothes, but they have little bits of somebody turned around and put flowers in their hair, or somebody said, hey, look, and I made a pin. Do you want one? It's a sharing of the festivities, even though they're still working, even though they're in a warehouse or a factory or whatnot. There's still little bits of the festival still going on. It's just not as big down here because work.
What's a piece of dressing or flair that reminds Helene of home?
Oh my. Sunflowers. Sunflowers used to be in the little village she grew up in before she started walking with her mother. And there was this field of sunflowers that she got to run through as a little wee bird. And how she learned how to fly and soar was to get up on a sunflower to pick the seeds.
Mm.
And to see those makes her smile.
With the sun on the verge of setting, fanfare fills not just the Kismet crossing, but most of the city. The parade is going to begin in earnest as we kiss the sun goodbye on Leap and usher in Bright. Where do we find everyone around Kismet Crossing? Where are you going to watch the parade from?
Well, Thistledown. One of the things that come to think about it, Thistledown doesn't really like spending time in Sprawl City much without being around Milo. Funny enough. Milo, I have to drag him literally out of the shop so that he can go, because if not, he would just toil in there all day. But yeah, it would probably be in the crowd. This is one of the few times that I see Milo. This is one of the few times that I see Milo outside of the shop. So I'd rather him be in the middle of everything, because he doesn't get. I feel that he doesn't get to be a part of it.
Okay. Is there anyone else?
Dodger would be. He wouldn't be in one spot. He'd be wandering, seeing if go into the different merchant stalls and things like that. Just seeing what they have, seeing if there's stuff they're looking for. Just doing the peddler thing as he'll still stop and watch the parade, but he's a peddler. He needs to do his work.
Yeah. And there are like-minded individuals who instead of closing down their stalls are just like, gotta make that one last push.
Exactly. But it does. He will stop if they do finally close down to honor the parade, as it were.
Where's Helene watching the parade from?
The sides. She got a little basket, a little sack of sunflower seeds, and she's kind of sitting there with her firelight, and they sit there and quietly watch, just enjoying being around people without having to. Always helping people drains people, and this is her getting kind of like her spoons back. It's just being around and not having to constantly give. But at the same time, she's going, I am here, I'm helping if it's needed.
What is something in the procession, in the parade itself, that has drawn your attention for more than a second? From just, it pulls a lingering look.
For Dodger, there was. I'm assuming there's if not floats like we would expect, but there are things, displays. People come in, like I would imagine, people holding stuff and that sort of thing. I kind of feel like he would have. There would be people who snuck in designs of the old ways into the new stuff. That would have caught his eye. Their way of commemorating the stuff that passed, the old gods, things like that. That would have caught his eye as they passed.
The one one float that mixed cherry blossoms with actual the mock orange to kind of give it a birth death flow to it. And because that's her favorite flower, Celine just lingers on it and watches it for a little bit longer than she should, because she enjoys the color combination, the differences. Not only that, but the smell. The scent is really calming and soothing, but a remembrance.
So now, what is it that attracts your attention, and why does it remind you of home?
Well, looking at the floats and looking at everybody really, because you have not only just you have everybody from all 4 points essentially, all congregating in Kismet Crossing, and it reminds me of it reminds me of a time before. It reminds me of before of the events that wanted me to leave home, caused when both my parents were actually together. And what catches my eye on top of all that, you hear the musicians, you see the floats. But I also see, as some of the floats have been worked on and been curated, have detail to it, I can start noticing towards the end, you see a very crude setup. It's more like just people essentially just walking with a banner. And on the banner itself, it has a rook with a heart lined around it. And just saying, essentially it's like a banner of advertising more than anything, because it literally just puts on there the muse of a rook's heart, literally just paste around it, and then you can see all through it. You can see everything is all monochromatic because it's all silver and black. So I could tell by looking, when I look over, I look at Milo, I could see that he literally did all of this while we were there, instead of binding the actual book that we were supposed to do. Which annoys me, but it also makes me, I can't help but appreciate that little gesture.
What is a particular beetle or its writer that pulls your attention to it?
beetle. Oh, sorry, because it was cutting off. You were talking to me, correct?
All of you.
Oh.
Yeah, I opened that to everybody.
I mean, from the sheer size of it, it's a Goliath beetle.
Mm.
It's really more of the beetle itself than the rider. And what makes it stand out even more so, looking at what Milo did, was next to it, which is these vibrant uses of color. And you can see that these were all created of paw prints, feathers, all throughout this Goliath beetle. And you can see that it's done in swirls. It's almost like the colors are dancing within each other. And for being a Goliath beetle, it is a little too nimble on its feet, doing little turns and twists. Kind of worries people that are in close proximity, but it looks nice from afar. He's almost majestic.
There's a little more concern to the oohs and ahs that are really close to it than
It's
those
more
that
like
are
oohs and
further away.
It's like
Yeah.
Just-
What is the beetle that calls Celine's attention, or its rider?
There is a beetle. It's not a Goliath beetle. And it could be because of the rider. It could have been because of the stable hand or something like that. But this beetle, woven into how it's been decorated for the parade, Dodger notices that whoever did it wove in some orchids, which there aren't a lot, that they are there, and if you look, you will see them. And that, while the significance isn't lost on him, it was a common sign of people who supported the rebellion.
Is that why it reminds you of home?
Yes. Yep. And that's partially why he left, because he could do good on the road as a peddler, and he didn't have to ask what he was delivering to whomever. He just made the delivery, and if that happened to be a message between different sections of the rebellion, then so be it. And that is... so, on one hand, he is cautious. It's usually not a good idea to be flagrant about these things. He doesn't think they're being flagrant, but if the wrong person notices. But it does give him a sense of hope, that people still remember it, and that it was important, even if it failed.
It's a green beetle. But what they did was they put roses on it. They did different patterns and different colors, making it look like it was in bloom.
I should have asked if you were okay with the beetle, because I know that you have spinophobia.
I have spinophobia, and when I went to go look what a beetle was, I went, oh, that was not a good idea.
No.
But I did see the color of one of them, and it was a bright blade grass green. And I can only imagine, yeah, thank you for that. But it's a bright green where the petals of the different colors of roses kind of pop. So the green almost becomes a background. And the rider is dressed in kind of like this blossom of rose, but then as it comes out into almost like little trendles that he can attach, little beats of candy and throw them out to the kids so they can pick them off at the trundles. And he's trying to make a festive mood of it all.
There's a bit of fanfare that separates this part of the Sun Parade from the next part. And there's a bit of music that strikes up. There's a walking band. What part of the melody calls out to you guys? And why? What strikes you about it? Is it an instrument in particular? Is it a movement?
No, I think for Dodger it would be the there would be if there are drums, and there will be drums because this is our narrative. So it would be drums. There's it's not necessarily that they're being played well or in any with any sort of rhythm. There's a cadence to drumming, and that I'll say reminds him of the open road, but it's something that like it's something him and Bailey sometimes need because the road can be long, and sometimes that just helps with getting one foot in front of the other, and just keep it on moving, and that's it. It's less upbeat, uplifting, and more kind of focusing for him.
Well, really what catches this down more than anything would be because it's just, I don't want to say hodgepodge, but it's more of a blending of different music coming from different areas, not just from not just from the city, but from all throughout Haeth. And the part that strikes to me is what is played by a fiddle. It's very upbeat, but has a tinge of melodic tone to it towards the end of it, which is exactly what I would hear in my house, in my home, that my father would play. Something that strikes me immediately, because I think that's the only artistic thing that my father ever had. And that's probably the only thing that me and him could share that was positive. So hearing that immediately takes me back. I officially zone out from what's going on in the festivities. Yep, and it was indeed "Devil Went Down to Georgia." That's exactly how the song.
That's exactly the chicken in the bread pan picking out dough.
Oh, yep. Oh, it brings me back.
For Celine, it's actually when things wind down. When after the drums and the chicken got the high-powered ones.
Yeah.
The high-powered music, once that starts to slow down, almost into like a moonlight sonata. It's that lulling and relaxing, like we're lulling you down into soft, slow movements. And it's like that jazz. It's a jazz feeling. It's not too fast. It's not too slow. It's just kind of like just right. Because it was the last time she actually danced. The last time she actually was in someone's arms. And it's a melancholy feeling. And as it kind of moves up and down, she'll sway to the music, but that's about it. She just kind of enjoys.
Whose arms was she in?
her last lover.
What was his name? Their name. I don't want to assume.
She is an owl. Gosh, now I gotta think of a name.
Mm-hmm.
Name. Why?
And a Kith.
Oh, that's easy. You know what? Let's go with Charles.
Okay. Was he in
And the
charge?
kid? No, never. He was never in charge.
Oh.
It was a partnership.
Mm.
It was rare, and it was funny. He was a fox.
Oh.
Charles
Very
How'd
gentlemanly.
you meet Charles?
How did I meet Charles? She was training and learning how to be a firelight from her mom. And she would start to go to certain places. And she came back to their home one time. He was there. He played the fiddle. He taught her. He taught her how to dance.
Mm.
They got together. They got close. And then she realized she had to go. She said goodbye. He gave her a very nice gift before she left. She sees him once in a while.
Mm.
He's married, has a family of his own. But the Moonlight Sonata reminds her of what could have been if she had not gone through the path she did.
Mm. The winding down of the music gives way to a smaller, more subtle little walking band. It's not as big, it's not as bombastic. They're almost children, the way the size difference looks like. But the last float, quote unquote, is pulled by 3 bumblebees. Describe your favorite bumblebee of the 3. And where is it in the order?
Bumble. Well, my favorite is the one that doesn't stay in the float. It is literally taking the characteristics of a bumblebee and literally bumbling into everything. Apparently, when they built, because this is an actual, is it an actual bumblebee that we're doing, or is this just a float? Yeah, so true bumblebee fashion.
Well, remember, bumblebees.
I will say
bumblebees and Haeth are the size of cows. They're grazing animals.
Oh my god, I love them even more.
Yeah.
So this one, this bumblebee has very orange cat energy, if that makes any sense to anybody, and realizes that it could in fact fly, albeit horribly. It could fly upside down, and decided to try to maneuver this, which causes it to either rest on top of another bumblebee or start trying to rest on top of people as it continues to gather, lift. It does have the shortest wings out of the 3 because, of course, why wouldn't it? It's like a bug's life with the caterpillar that became a butterfly, and really all it was just tiny wings on the back of it.
Mm-hmm.
You can hear that it's cries of joy because of how happy it is that it's actually able to fly around freely, when really everybody's just annoyed that he's there.
Perfect. And where is it in the order?
I mean, it's first, then it's third, then it's second, and then it somehow falls to the floor before coming back up first. I mean, really, it all depends when you see it.
Yeah, got it.
You might miss it completely as it passes. Who knows?
Let's see. The one that catches the bumblebee that catches Dodger's eye is it's a very solemn bumblebee. It's pulling steadily. It's second in the line. He's a bit of a stick in the mud, and his raisers know the shepherds and the herdsmen know this, and they have some fun with it. He has to my horns. He has a laurel wreath on his little bumblebee head, or his big bumblebee head in this case, and he has what looks like a bee toga on his body. So they've dressed him like a Roman imperator.
Love it.
Because he takes himself too seriously and thinks he's above and better than the rest of the bees. So he's in second place, and he is very dignified and happy
His
to be
name
pulling.
is Julie. His name is Julius Beezer.
Julius Beezer.
Yep. So
wins.
shall it be.
That
We have
wins.
mowed it.
Nope. That wins.
Last but not least is one that's Celine's amused by it because he's not actually trying to be anything other than just trying to walk a straight line. He's not drunk. It's just everyone else has their own personality, and he's a little quirky. He's funny. He'll go over and kind of like bump a little kid just for fun. He might turn around and steal a boy's glasses and then have somebody else say, he can't see without his glasses. And from there, it's more of, he's just funny and quirky and doing silly things to make people smile. And Selena's appreciative of it. And of course, he's running the back end so that everyone laughs and gives a giggle after all of that.
What draws your attention about the winners that got crowned the Sun King and the Sun Queen?
Yay for them.
Yay.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with Celine and Thistledown on this one. It's for him, it's fun. It's a fun thing. For Dodger, this is a fun. It's important to celebrate the passing of time and the seasons and things like that. But it might as well be prom king and prom queen to him. But,
Yeah.
Good for them.
I mean, really, what pulls my attention more is the fact that Worley, the walrus, did not win, and how he is trying to, because of his size, he's trying, as they're announcing this, he's trying to edge himself in to the scenario. Be like, well, really, if you did the count right, maybe you should recount. Like he's literally trying to grab, like as he's talking, you can see he's trying to grab the little figure that they give to the king, like to the winners, and he's just like, well, maybe if we do raise of hands, maybe, and you can see that he's just not accepting that this is happening, and they're politely telling him, you can sit down now, it's okay, it'll be fine.
Poor guy.
Celine will put a little sunflower seed into his beak.
The parade winds down and people start to meander back to their homes. Have you found a place to stay for the night?
What's sleep during night? Nocturnal Animal asks.
Yeah, he found Dodger would have found a tavern in Weston.
Okay. Now, are you leaving the next day, or you gonna spend some time in Sprawlside?
Well,
Good.
no, I'm sorry, go ahead, forgive me.
Oh, that's always fine. I think he'd probably Dodger would at least spend the morning in the afternoon and leave in the afternoon. Because that's, like Celine said, that's when she usually is getting active as the day wears on and night starts. And they would, and he would spend the morning and the early afternoon doing his peddler thing, getting new stuff, selling old stuff, and then prepping to move on.
Are you looking for anything particular while you're here?
He likes to give or trade for thoughtful things, and I'm going to say the word tchotchke, but to some people that is a thoughtful gift, a small trinket from another place. So he that's generally what he looks for is interesting things unique to the city and the area that might be interesting to other people in another city farther down the road.
Okay.
I mean, Thistledown has no problem, although he tends to like to sleep in a comfy, cozy area to let his mind slowly decompress from all the thoughts and everything that he's seen and all the writings and everything that he's trying to write down mentally in his head besides writing down on paper. He has no problem sleeping next to the actual printing press in Milo's shop. He's done that more than once.
Okay.
Thistledown would like to be there until he is done with the binding of the journal that I've asked him to do. As far as for the binding of the new collection, the finished collection that I've been giving him, I kind of Thistledown is not knowing whether or not how Milo would take it the moment he reads it, because it's actually, although I told him it was Muse, it's actually titled The Bookbinder's Hands, and I am not good. Thistledown's not good with rejection, hence why tends to like give himself a persona that is not really him in the beginning, which is why people thought of him being a feminine, romanticizing poet. And this, depending on the reaction that Milo would give, could possibly ruin his thoughts going forward on being a poet. So he rather have the come back later, as if it does blow up, he can come back at a different time after it's simmered down.
Well,
it's the way that I would describe it.
As it seems like as you guys are about to bed down for the night, you have this thunderstorm of anxiety, whether or not to tell him the truth. And it feels like you want to use one of your tokens.
Yeah, and the thing is that
you can spend the token to offer someone the chance to connect with you on a personal level.
Yeah, essentially that token would be for him to actually... The idea would be, forget that he doesn't sleep. He burns candles at both ends. So while I'm asleep, he would be finishing that binding and of not just the journal but of the collection, and he would have eventually had to have read everything in there. I have actually written it. It's here.
Okay. So then would you be wanting to use a token to, because it doesn't sound like you want to offer somebody the chance to connect with you. It sounds more like
this would be a way for him to connect with me because of what I wrote.
Right, but it feels like it feels more like you want to reveal something hidden about the person in front of you and ask them what it is.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, really, it's just the mystery of it is whether or not this person feels the same way.
Well, you get to reveal that. Does he feel the same
Yeah.
way?
I mean, I wake up from the moment I wake up and it's break of dawn. The sun hits. Since there's no door and the light literally shines right through, it's hitting me directly in the face, and I forget that I have to cover myself. And when I wake, I can see across from me in the stool is Milo, sitting there with the new journal in his hand, and the journal has it. You can see that it was done methodically in the sense where every time that I gave him new work to put in, he would use different stock of paper. So you can see that as it's almost like the seasons itself. You can see as they're written, as he gets them, it's been written differently, so it's done differently. And
It's like layers of the earth.
I'm sorry?
It's like layers of the earth.
Yeah. Layers of a tree as well. That's the way I look at it. And I can see that he has it open towards the end, which would be the collection. And I just hear him. I can't believe I'm right. I can't believe I wrote this. So it's written there. It says on there. I can hear him reading it out loud. The scent of parchment, musk, and ink lingers longer than I think. His voice, a whisper, and refined to my taste, but yet it's refined. Like letters pressed with love behind. Does he really see in pages turned the quiet love my heart has learned? For every book his craft bestows, feels like a love that he'll never know. And he literally reads that out loud, and I'm like, I think twice. I'm like, I can't even say it was about somebody else. It's it's another bookbinder that I just happen to know. And he comes up to me without saying a word, and he grabs my hand. He grabs both my hands. He leans in, and he presses his forehead against mine. And just simple words. Took you long enough. Fade to black. Fade to black on that one.
Yeah. No. We know the Dodgers doing Dodger things. What happens when Celine winds down? When the sun starts to come up again on bright, and Leap is behind you now, where everyone is going to work. Most of the people going to work, starting their day. Celine's winding down. Where is she?
Looking for an inn. Looking for somewhere to sleep for the moment. Anyone that's open, anyone that has a bed open. She's not particular. She never is. A bed is a bed.
Describe the signage of the inn that calls to you.
It's got a ladybug on it. Poppy's insistent on it. And she will just go in and look around and inquire if they've got an open room.
They do. What's the smell like?
Being that it's just after the festival, popcorn. And it's not that really kind of cagey popcorn. It's that movie kind of rich, buttery popcorn that just makes you salivate and savor it. And then it lingers. But it never goes stale. It's that sweet kind of popcorn. Then there's flapjacks and bacon and sausage and a lot of things that Junie's now trying not to think of to get hungry.
Yeah.
But there's also a scent of fresh cut flowers from the field. Kind of a welcoming, like, we have food, we have good smells, come stay here.
Yeah. Who's a tavern keeper?
Well, she's never met the tavern keeper before.
But
This
what
is a
kids
new
are
place.
they?
She's. Well, I'm getting there.
Okay.
Just keep. You asked me to describe things. I'm describing. She hasn't met them before, but it's a nice older gentleman. He's not the kid. She looks at the kid. She's trying to figure it out. She's tired and trying to see sometimes with her glasses doesn't exactly work well. But he's kind of bearish, kind of like a short, pudgy black bear, old grandpa kind of guy.
Mm.
And she's kind of just like, she's staying conscious, she's awake, sort of, but her eyes are like, you need to get to bed soon.
Okay.
So she's kind of just going over to ask if there's a room.
Yeah. And he'll show you to the room. Kind of waddles from the sides more than walks. And he hums as he does it. There's a jovialness to him, like you said. What does the tune make you feel in your tired state? Have you ever heard it before? Is this a familiar song to you?
No, it's not. But it reminds me of like lullabies when I was a kid. The ones that after like a thunderstorm or some kind of bad night, it was just a little soft jig or a little soft tune to let you know you're safe and secure and that you can sleep okay. There won't be anyone to bother you.
For Dodger, there's a moment just after sunup. There's a little tune, a little hum coming from the shrine that Patches gave you. Is it familiar to you?
It's familiar in the way that it reminds me, not something I've directly heard before. It's reminiscent of something Zoe used to do while we were traveling. She was just a passenger, and a companion, but a passenger, and she would do her own things when we were between towns, between cities.
Okay. There is an ability to spend a token here to listen to the shared wisdom of the many small and forgotten gods. And my favorite part of it is that at the end of that sentence it says, ask the table what they tell you.
I will spend that token then.
Okay.
And I will listen to the wisdom of the small and forgotten gods. And what did they tell me, table?
Yeah. There is no wrong or right answer here.
Correct. Judy, channel your inner god.
You don't want me to do that.
Oh, okay.
Do
There's
it.
only Zoe.
How many trinkets has Dodger collected so far?
Probably a good half dozen. He's very particular.
Okay.
He doesn't deal in bulk.
Okay.
Things he sees something. It sounds like if you think of it's like a photographer that they don't take a ton of pictures. They take the right picture. He finds the right thing
Quality
in
over quantity.
yes.
Right. So let that help Kenny and Journey as you're coming up with wisdom.
I mean, it's going to be very. The wisdom is going like when I hear those words, wisdom of the tiny forgotten gods. It is very broad paint stroke, but I want to say a river. The river does not mourn the stone it once carried.
Mm.
The wind does not cling to the leaves it has shaken free. What once was a hindrance in life is more just a lesson.
Hmm.
Life is forever
not
changing. Life never ends. It evolves. It moves. What once was a person is now a flower. What was a tree is now a book. Life always continues, but in what ways you'll never remember or know.
Sorry, this just came to mind. Because we're always looking for home. Home is not a place, but love that you carry with you. And scene.
He nods. Dodger nods thoughtfully. He knows this is why he listens to them.
Yeah. Yeah. It is the next late afternoon. There is already a couple of notes that have come in. The same kind of wombat that greeted you at the door at the gates kind of has a little stack as he comes up to the group. Rose said that you could pick what you wanted from this group, and he kind of points, and you see Julius Beezer is being taken out for like a walk, and some of the kids are just surrounding him. And there's a big shake that he does, and some of that pollen falls off, kind of snows on them.
Mm-hmm.
What is one child that reminds you of you back home? And are they a different kith than you?
Yeah. I would say one that sticks out mostly is it's an I want to say it's like a fennec fox.
Mm-hmm.
The ears are about the size of its head, and on a small kith, it looks adorable. Really, it's the one that actually gets covered in the snow because of how close he is to Julius Beezer, and reminds me that how I took chances as a kid, as a young kid, and how I looked at something as that as a kid it's one of those things where you realize, you know what, if I take a chance and actually get closer to something, I might be able to experience something, whether or not it's snow being dredged on my face or the fact that I can actually pet a large bumblebee.
For Dodger, it's actually it's a feline. It's another type of Haeth that inhabited the same geographical area as him. As a goat, it would be a mountainous, hilly area. So the kith that reminds him of him and home is it's a small bobcat child, and similar to the fox. It has big cat ears, but the little tufts sticking out the end of it look a little incongruous to the rest of the ear. And he mostly avoided the pollen, but he is looking. To Spotter's eye, he understands. Dodger's eyes, he can see that he's looking to cause trouble. He might be looking for a latch or a pin on the toga to unfasten. But he's a kid, and kids are dumb, so he's not being very sneaky about it, even though he thinks he is.
Yeah.
I'm unleashing something on you guys. So the one that I would say is definitely known as a quarka. It's from it's from Australia, and once that fluff goes down, it just goes out and jumps right on. Not just on, but around, under, through, just trying to nuzzle in all over, trying to get all of pollen all over it, just loving every moment of it.
Yeah, Julius Beezer is annoyed that he's been brought out to be paraded in front of children, but there is a moment where after this little Australian animal, and even Rosie, who is just kind of like trying to scratch behind the head, the big dome of a head, there's a moment where all of you have this nice page, this kind of bookmark about home and what home means to you. And as that kind of settles in and the road stretches out before you for the next journey, I think this is a good point to call it for tonight. So how has this been so far for the three of you? One more episode.
Yeah.
It'll be, it's been fantastic. That's the one word right. It's been fantastic.
Fun. Yeah.
It's been fun.
Been different.
It's a lot if you're not used to this type of story, and I'm not. But it's good. It's really good. I'm going to say practice, but
Yes.
it's really good getting the descriptor juices flowing, as they say.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
but yeah, ton of fun. Had a great time so far.
Okay. I'm excited to see where we go for this last episode.
Mm-hmm.
Only 4?
Only 4 for now.
Only 4. I mean, I will say that this kind of game, this kind of setting, lends itself a lot more to like any people who are improvers, who normally just off the top, and it allows them to be fluid. Yeah. I will say that it is very hard to think of an animal on the spot when you thought of 15 of them already.
Yep. Yeah.
All of a sudden, the fox. Yeah, it's also a cat too. Yeah, sure. Yeah, that one's a cat. That one's
Yeah.
also a cat.
Yeah.
It's just
Cow? No, that's the same cow.
Yeah. Yeah, my favorite thing about the Haeth is that the insects are the big kind of like grazing animals and pack animals. And so like you'll see ants carrying like a cart instead of horses. You'll see bumblebees grazing on a field. Beetles are the big pack animals, like Bailey. But it is one of those things where it's like the art lends itself to the cuteness, but a good theater troupe would really excel in this game, I think.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I want to thank you guys for participating in this. I am excited and sad to see that there is one last episode for this. But I also want to thank the audience. And as always, I want to give you guys a chance to plug whatever you're doing. So Antera, we'll start with you.
Sure.
Go alphabetically.
Sure.
What are you up to? Where can people find you on the internet if you want to be found?
Not many places here now, which is awesome. For this and one more episode, I'll be doing a little L5R at the end of the month, which will be super fun,
Yeah, boy.
which is a super fun system. I got to harass Ben, so that'll be good.
Yes.
And then on Saturdays, I'm playing with this. Am I going the right way here? Hold on. Which way? This way? Junie, yes. That lady over there, storytelling Chicago City, where I may or may not play the de facto ruler of Chicago.
Correct.
Who runs his mouth and gets in lots of trouble.
I think Kevin might be a little bit upset on that one.
Junior, what are you up to? Where can people find you on the internet if you want to be found?
Well, I'm on the internet because I live there. It makes it easier to travel and be here. You can find me on Junie Von Esch, Junie_Von_Esch here on Twitch. I am pretty much everywhere on the social medias. Why? Because it's easier to infiltrate your mind. I turn around and I strangle yarn just like this or like this because I was told it's better than being in jail because at least now I have Wi-Fi. And I don't really look good in all solid orange. Other than that, you'll see me on the Mixtabbers either in a game or I will be storytelling, as Antera said, on Saturday nights, or you'll find me here in a plethora of different games. Thank you.
Yeah. And Kenny, what are you up to? Where can people find you on the internet if you want to be found?
You can find me on my personal for socials, Mr. _ with the underscore in between each word. You can also find stuff that I have done with other friends of mine called Crit or Die, Bears Love Gaming. You can find that sporadically throughout. You can also find me here. If I'm not an animal, I might be a pirate, might be a vampire, might be a goblin. Who knows? It all depends what happens, what day that you see me here. And once again, as always, I want to go ahead and thank the 2 consistent viewers that I bring here.
Yeah.
Albeit they don't know what the hell's going on. And I will have questions after this episode.
Excellent.
Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Yeah.
I will have questions after this episode. Like, hey, so yeah, about that character and what he wrote. I'm like, don't worry about it. It's okay.
Yeah.
But honey, you're so creative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it because I was just like, man, it would be really interesting if Milo has a crush on Thistledown and then you turned out to have the crush, and I was like, excellent. Yeah. I'm here for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just like, and I wanted to make sure that it wasn't. I wasn't gonna try to go too far into it. It was just and fade, and now we're done.
Yeah, no, we know, we can assume we're adults, adult-ish.
They're playing board games throughout this whole time.
Yeah, exactly. Just naked. But as always, we take.
All it takes is one strap, and that's it. It's just boom, immediately everything falls.
Yeah. Like what is it, Bruce Almighty? Just the big scene.
Just goes boom,
boom. But yes, as always, thank you guys. We take mental health on the channel very seriously, so please know that it is okay to not be okay. And if you need help and you're watching live, there are phone numbers going up in our Twitch chat, so you can call or text and get someone on the other line to help you, that are trained to help you. Because the scariest part is taking that first step, but just know that there are people out there who want to help you, who are trained to help you. And if you don't do well with phone calls and text messages, or if you want to, not in the United States, there's findahelpline.com, which will also be in the description box if you're watching on YouTube, but it is in the Twitch chat right now if you're watching live. So you can find the resources in the areas closest to you. It's dark times. You know, those of us in America are dealing with the uprising of a fascist regime, and those of you outside of the United States dodged the bullet. Unless, you know, our dictator in cheese decides to wanting to buy more countries than he's allowed to. So, but please stay strong, stand strong, do what you can, do what you can when you can, and just know that self-care is still fighting the good fight. So don't be afraid to take the time that you need. But as always, you can catch us here on Monday for our last chapter of the Scion miniseries. That is the prequel to our Scion game that will be starting on Tuesdays in the alternating rotation with Werewolf the Wild West. And if not, you can catch us here on Thursday for the last episode of Wanderhome. As we get ready to kick off back into L5R and 7C on Thursdays, and Vampire the Masquerade on Mondays. Otherwise, you can catch me over McStabbers every Wednesday as I've infiltrated all of their White Wolf games. And sometimes they let me play on Friday with them, but you know, that's never a thing that I know when it happens until it's going to happen.
Yeah, they should have listened to you.
Should have listened to me. And as always, thank you guys again for being here. Thank you to the audience for joining us. And we will see you when we see you. Have a good night, everybody. Bye.